Hey, welcome to another video. This is MoXoM.
I got a request to do some more Bitbox stuff, so I wanted to take the opportunity. This one is the newest one. It's still got the plastic on it. It's still got the original. I haven't done anything to it.
So I want to take this opportunity to go over the settings a little bit. Not everything. There's some in-depth videos also on YouTube that you could check out. This may not necessarily be that, but I want to go over getting some custom samples onto the flash drive and getting some of the basic settings. So let me go ahead and turn the rig on. Oh, I take that back. I did set a setting.
I did already tell this to flip upside down as soon as it starts up.
I noticed this one takes a little longer than the other one. The other one's already all
Set up, so that's interesting.
right. Yeah. So there we go. Darken that up a little bit. So if you go to your settings, the first thing I want to do is turn the brightness down.
And there's no need to have it on past 0, I found. There's your flip the UI, so the user interface, so if you had it, you know, that way. Oops.
Just flip the knob to the other side. I did this. Record to play. I don't know what that was.
So let's see what that was set at.
Settings on. And I want to show you, this is the firmware, so it's shipped with 252.
And that's the most current.
As of the recording of this video anyway.
So I wanted to show you that, and I wanted to show you this. So it comes with one that'll already load in. I don't have the mixer up or any of that stuff. So if you touch this, you'd be hearing it if you had your sound output set.
What I want to show you is if you hit your menu button
and you go to presets, it's going to automatically load whichever one's in here first, and they go in alphabetical order or numerical, as in this instance.
So these are the
kits that come with it, and you can load one up, and then it's got a bunch of samples associated with these. And I'll show you why I wanted you to see this. So just remember 808 kick and acoustic kick and beatbox and industrial and so on.
And if you want, you could load those from there, or
you can create a new one
here. You can save and save as. But what I just start doing is saving over the ones that were already in here. Anyway, so I'm going to turn this off now.
And we'll pull the drive out.
Okay. So once you take your SD card out, you'll want to put it into an adapter type device like this. You can see I have my card inserted into it, and then it's like a USB adapter. Okay, so if you don't have one of these, you're going to want to get one. You're probably going to want a pile of these SD cards. And again, I think 32 gigabytes is the limit, which is nice. Yep, so you'll want to get one of those. So you'll notice once you put that drive in, it'll be no name. So you'll want to go ahead and probably rename that to whatever you want. I'll probably name it, Bitbox 2 Disc 1.
Okay, so I'm going ahead and rename that, and then what I'm also going to want to do is I'm going to create a new folder on my desktop, and I'm going to call that just like I did for this one. Actually, instead of 1 and 2, I called them left and right. However, what you're going to want to do is, when you first get it, make a backup of the original file. So you can see I have this one, Bitbox left, number 1, which would be disk 1 backup. And you can just take all the contents. I'll show you that in a minute. Let me rename this file.
Okay, so now that I have my my Bitbox Right folder created, I'll go ahead and open that up. And I've also opened up a folder which is the original flash drive, or I'm sorry, the original SD card here, which I've named accordingly. And what you'll notice at the root level of it is you have XML files, which are basically like text files with certain information in it that probably the Bitbox is reading. But what that is that's your associations. So this is like your saved file, but you still, if you're going to keep these, you like these, and then any ones you make in the future. So like the 808 kick will have sounds in it that are in this folder. Okay. So if you rename this folder or you move this folder, it's going to hose these all up. So I want you to keep that in mind when you, and have good, you're going to have good folder management using your Bitbox, or things will get out of hand. So that's what you basically have in here. You're going to have your sample folders, and you can clean this whole thing out if you want, start from scratch. But I recommend you at least keep the 808 kick one, and you just do a save as, or just rename it and then load in your stuff. Otherwise you can get rid of all this except for your matrix.bin. What this is your firmware. So if you are, let me roll over here, if you hold these two buttons while you power it up, it's going to go to that matrix file. Yeah, matrix.bin file, and it's going to load up whatever that is. And what's cool about that feature is you can you can create an account on the forum, and then you can get the matrix files for turning your Bitbox either into the, what is it, Synthbox or Effectsbox. And those are nice. I toyed around with them a little bit. It'd be nice to have 4 Bitboxes, but anyway, I digress. Okay, so now that we understand that, I'm going to go ahead and grab my sample files and throw them in here. So I kind of got off track, but what I wanted to do was select all these and make a copy here. So I copy these items, paste them into my backup, and then anytime I want, if you know, I want to sell it or something like that, who knows, or I mess it up and I want to get it back to the original, I can always do that. Okay, so I won't make you watch that. I'll see you later. Okay, so here's my SD card again, and I wanted to show you, after I was done copying all my files over, this is what it looks like. And I went ahead and broke all the rules of everything I just said. I went and deleted everything and then just literally put my own drum hits folder in there, which has some folders, a drum loops folder, a vocal samples, and then I just had some extra space. I thought I'd throw that in there. And really all I need is this, and then I'll show you how to handle if you broke all the associations that were in the files before, you know, in the folder in the drive before. So now I'm going to eject this and I'll put it in. Something I want to talk about let me show you. Alright, I've ejected the SD card and I wanted to show you guys something. This is the card that ships with the Bitbox. And really, you know, you're buying the mod. It's just kind of a courtesy that they include an SD card for you. Now this is 8 gigabytes. You're definitely going to want to get some other cards. And for 2 reasons. One, you can use a 32 gig, so this is only a quarter of what's, you know, of what you can use. So if you can use 32 gigabytes, you might as well get it.
The other thing I want to show you is this little C4 right there. You see it right below that little arrow on the right side. Okay, now it took me, I don't know, probably 2 hours to transfer 8 gigabytes worth of stuff onto there. So that's not optimal, right? And that's going to be your first clue, is that C4. So if we go look at Amazon, what you're looking for is something like this, and it's pretty cheap. So for 10 bucks, you can get a 32 gig. Two things I recommend. You definitely want to get C10, so that's something you're looking for, and you definitely want to get U3. So these are both to do, I believe, with transfer speeds. So it's going to move a lot quicker than 8 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes an hour, as I was experiencing, which happened to be last night. It took a couple hours. So you definitely want to get your hands on those. And that's what I have to say about the SD cards. Okay, so I'm going to take my SD card, and you can see the print that's on it is mainly going to be on one side. And if it's upside down, then the print's going to go on the left-hand side here, and it simply fits right in, quite smooth and nice. If there's any snag to it, or it wants to move in sideways, you probably have it upside down. Okay, so as a side note, anytime you want to switch firmwares, maybe from a Bitbox to a SynthBox or an effects box, or vice versa. So anytime you switch that matrix.bin file on your SD card, the next time you reboot, you'll want to hold both these buttons down and then turn your unit on. And let me zoom into the screen here. And you can see once it says erasing and then program, you can take your fingers off the button. It'll say verifying and then successful restarting. And I think in earlier I noticed how, and that seemed to load a little bit quicker, but I noticed that the other Bitbox loads a lot quicker, and that goes back to what we were just talking about with the speeds of the SD cards. So if it takes a long time for you to transfer from your PC over to your drive, then it's probably going to take a long time to boot your device from it, and then it's also going to may not be as efficient when you're actually triggering a sample. So again, it's just kind of a courtesy they give you one. I recommend you get the other higher speed ones as soon as possible. I'm still buying mods, so I'll probably wait. That'll be one of the last things I buy. So again, this is basically a new machine. I haven't done anything to it from the device, but I have really altered the flash drive. And I went ahead and I transferred a kit that was just called MoXoM 1 or 1 MoXoM, and I erased all the other ones. So if I had volume on the mixer and I clicked on these right now, you actually would not hear anything. These samples don't even exist anymore. So what I would do at this point is I want empty cells. So the easiest way to do that is just click on one and hit your info button. It's going to say home, but since I'm upside down, these two have switched. So all these things, obviously if you're into this stuff, you're probably pretty intelligent. So it just takes a little bit of getting used to. But your info button's always going to be on the right hand side, whether you have it up or down. So I'll click on a cell. I'll click info once, and what I want to do is go to this button, and I want new recording. Now as soon as I've hit new recording, I've erased the other one. So I don't need to do anything further. I'll just go back to my home button, which says info, but again, it's upside down. And you'll notice this cell is empty. And what I want to do now is I just want to click through, and I want to do that to all of these. And you can quickly do it. It's just a couple of push buttons, and you're emptying these right out. Whoops.
Okay, so now we have all empty cells. At this point, so this is a fresh box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my home button and I'm going to go to presets.
And now you see, instead of the big list before,
I'll try and zoom in here a little bit so you can actually see what I got. It's so bright. There you go. So normally you would have that list, but what I did is I copied one of my saves from this one just so I had a name. But you could have left it with the 808 or whatever. And at this point I'll just save. Okay, so it's saved a blank one. All right, you guys, we're to the point now where I've got 2 empty bit boxes, and I'm just gonna start something from scratch. I've got an empty pattern going in the Metron. And what you're hearing right now is you are hearing the synthesis technology E370, and it is being driven constantly by the chord section of the Sinfonion. Okay, so that's the pitch knob for that. And I have that modulating from the Neutrons LFO, and it's just a really slow modulation. So we'll just kind of use that as something going. I've got it in the key of A minor, and that's what I have, a sample folder of A minor right now. So we'll pick some samples from that. So we're going to treat this one as a drum machine. We're going to treat this one as a sampler. Everything's running through the performance mixer, and yeah, so we'll start going. I know that my first sample cells coming into the drum bit box start on track 4 in the Metron, so I'm going to go over to track, start in track 5. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 all go to this one. So I can just start with like a 4 on the floor kick, and you can see it's flashing right there. Whoops. Flashing right there. So what we'll do is we'll highlight that cell and we'll go to the info. And right now it's empty, so you'll see this menu. And you just hit load. And I'm going to go to my drum hit samples, load that folder, and we'll just find some nice kick drums. I know I have some pretty heavy ones in here. We'll load that folder. And if I hit the play button, and I should be able to, I'm just going to load this in. Yep. And we're going to go back to that same cell. And what I can do is I can just scroll through those kicks now. I like that second one. We'll just start with a nice chill one, so I'll load that in. And the first thing you'll want to do, the first thing I always want to do, is zoom in, scroll over, and you see that big gap right here, and you can move this left top knob, and you can get right to where you need to be. If it's playing, it's gonna take it over like that. In which case, you can just zoom out, and you can zoom back in, and you can try it again. It's gonna give you a couple seconds before it takes over. So we're right about where we want to be, maybe a little bit more. That kick nice there. Okay, and once so there it's populated, I can at any time go to my info button. I can click this button and I can either choose sample, clip, or slicer. For this one, we'll just stick with sample. So I'll click that again. And you can also, with this knob, and you can start to see that red flag move. So you can hear I can trim that if I want. Kind of take the back end out of it. And then you also have level control. And for now, we'll just keep that at 0. And you have pitch control. So later on, I might want to pitch that to fit in a little bit better with my A minor. But for right now, we'll leave that at 0. Take it back down to 0. And right now we're in trigger mode. And there's also a gate mode, which just seems to be a really much finer gate. And there's toggle mode, which I don't really like, but it just plays the entire sample. It kind of ignores the if you choke it, if you cut the end out a little bit, toggle kind of ignores that. So you'll kind of just, depending on the sample, get used to trying those, see which ones you like. You'll notice that a lot when you're dealing with your hi-hats, and we'll get into that in a minute. You've got an attack, sustain, decay, and release. You can reverse it, which could be fun on the fly, right? You have a MIDI. I think that's for what channel, but we're not using MIDI, so we'll leave that on default. And I haven't used loop mode before, so I can't really tell you about that. And you also have your start, your loop start, I think is what that is. I've never used that. The length, and I think this has to do with the loop, start and end, I believe, but I'm not quite sure. So there's a kick drum. We probably want to maybe lay our second kick drum. So again, I'll just go to load. See what that one sounds like. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that, but at least it gets this. Oh, and you can turn any of these knobs when you're scrolling through. So any of these knobs will scroll you. Go with that one. I kind of like that one. So we'll load that one in. Again, I'm going to want to zoom to the front of this guy, because a lot of the times you get samples from places and they're not quite trimmed up. So that doesn't sound too bad. So we got a couple kicks going. Yeah, there's a lot of power coming out of this system. All right, so I think we could turn our synth up a little bit. Not quite sure if you can how much bass you can hear. I have to apologize. I'm really excited. I sold a lot of the stuff that would have got me giving me the ability to record this audio normally into my computer, multiple tracks, all kinds of stuff. I sold it all to get this. So the one thing I'm lacking, I've gotten some utility modules, but the one thing I'm lacking right now, I really need the 4MS wave recorder, which is going to give me the ability to run all this sound directly into a recorded wave file on an SD card. As soon as I do that, I can also, I've gotten a microphone utility one, which I've already purchased, and I can get a nice headset microphone and talk to everybody in it also. And so pretty soon, the hard work's going to pay off, and I'll be able to give some really nice tutorials. So I hope everybody looks forward to that. So anyway, we'll keep going here. We'll go ahead and load in some hi-hats, and we'll just do 2 hits, and we'll do a closed hat. So clicked on the cell, go to info. No idea what that sound was. Definitely want to get out of this folder, and we want to go to some hi-hat folders. Check. Oh, that sounds nice. Like that first one. Load it in. So now I think we're ready to throw in a vocal sample of some kind. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to move over to this Bitbox, and it is only got 4 triggers running into it, and they are 16, 15, 14, and 13. So I'll go to the 13 to 16 scene button here, the track groups. So now these tracks here are effectively controlling 13, 14, 15, and 16th output triggers, okay, which is going to trigger these. So really what I want to do right now, I'll just trigger 1 on the 1. Okay, it didn't look like it was triggering, but it is triggering. So let's go ahead and we'll load in. Yeah, I like that one. That one sounds nice. So I'm going to load that in. Again, I'll zoom into the front of it. Yeah, that sounds fine. So right now we've only got a 16 bar loop, but we can a 16 step loop. But on this Metron, it's absolutely amazing. You can go up to like 256, I think. Yeah, which is really nice. So that's sounding pretty good, yeah? Alright, I'm gonna take a little break. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, let me turn this down a little bit here. Okay, I think I'll add an open hi-hat in this cell here, and so I'm gonna go ahead and load that in. And we'll just go ahead and we're gonna go back to track group 5 to 8, that's where our drums started, and so this one was next, and that's where we'll populate our open hi-hat, And we'll go ahead and just do that on the opposite of the kick drum for now. And I'll just load any one in. So I'm just gonna load that one in and immediately go back into my selection menu. I think I like that one, so I'll load that one in. Again, I'll zoom all the way to the front, crop it up a little bit, just in time. And on this one, I might tighten up that end a little bit. Other than that, I like it. The volume seems good for now. I'll check it though. I usually bring the volume down till I can't hear it, and then I'll bring it back up and see how it fits in the mix. Yeah, I like it. Sounds pretty good right there. And I don't need to do anything else to it. I'm happy with that. We can put a snare into this track. I have some snares here. Again, we'll just load the first one in. And that's going to be in the track number 9. And we'll just put that on the 2 and the 4. That one's not bad. Again, I'll zoom into the front of it, crop it. You can hear how that hits at the right time now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, off to a nice start here. Enjoy that chord for a minute. Sounds like it needs a bass line, doesn't it? Let's go ahead and what I'm gonna do is let's use the first neutron and we'll throw a bass line off of that. So I'm not gonna tune the oscillators right now. They should be pretty good. When I turned them on yesterday, I checked the tuning and they were all pretty right on. The E370 is just rock solid, so I think you only need to tune that once a year. But we'll just go ahead and do that now. So I'll go back to 1 through 4. I know that my 1 through 4, number 1 I had left open for the light forms. I'm learning it doesn't really matter because anytime you're using the Volterra, you can use any track to program in the Volterra. It doesn't matter. It's just you're just assigning it into the knob. So, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the second Volterra knob that goes to our neutron. So I'm gonna turn the volume down on everything right now. And what I want to do is just I'm gonna turn up channel 1 on track 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is both of my neutrons, and there's an A/B switch. So I just want to switch that to A right now, because I just want to be hearing the first one. If I switch it to B, I'm just hearing the second one, and if I switch it to A/B, then I'm hearing both. So, but we'll just turn that up, and if I turn up envelope depth, or I'm sorry, vocal bias, I'll get a tone out of it. So we're at least hearing something now, right? And then once I start sending gates, then that'll change. So the first thing I want to do is I want to hold down on global, and I want to turn the second knob, and that's going to get me into the voltage menu. And what this is going to do is these buttons up here represent the voltage range I'm going to send it, and right now it's blinking all of them, so it's going -5 to +5 volts. And what I could do is, if I just want to play a bass line, which is what I'm doing, you have the option. You could just say, maybe I just want to, you can see only these two are blinking now, and I held down the bottom one and then pressed on the upper one while holding down the bottom one, and that's just giving me a voltage now of 0 volts up to the end of 2 volts, I believe, so 2 octaves. But I'll go ahead and I'll just do the full range. And if you wanted to, if you didn't have a Sinfonion controlling the chords and reassembling the note voltages, if you will, then you'd probably want to take advantage of this. This represents 1 octave, and you can basically turn on and off notes you don't want to be represented. So as you're turning the Volterra, then you're actually only quantizing to the notes in a scale that you wanted to do. But because I'm sending it to the Sinfonion, I definitely want to give it everything, because it's going to do different things once you switch chords from what you're in now. So since we're dealing with a Sinfonion instrument, we're actually going to be dealing with this one right here. I'll go ahead and move the camera over a little bit, and you still should be able to see what I'm doing on the Volterra. Okay. So once I've decided in this menu the way I want it, I can just hit global again, and that's what we hit to get in there. Global. We hit global and then turn the knob that we wanted, which is this one. So now I can start pushing any of these buttons that represent 1 through 16 steps in time, and I can turn this knob, and it's going to show me on here what note I'm sending it. And also, if I hit this, if I push my trigger first and then without turning the knob, hold the select button, it's going to be a little bit easier for me to hear what I'm selecting. But I can also see it change on the Sinfonion as I do it in real time, and I'll hear it. I should hear it changing from the pitch on the Neutron. Okay, so bass line, I just want to do 2 hits down and 2 hits up, I think. So like a do-do-do-do-do-do-do. We're going to try something like that, right? So I'll push on click on the first one, and I'll hold down select just once, and I'll turn. Isn't that awesome? But notice over here too, it's also changing. It's changing here. You're seeing the note that it's playing, but you're also seeing what it's reflecting here. So in chord A minor, right now we're on the 9th note of the scale, and you can see as I scroll, it's actually scrolling through those. I would have thought it went, from one down to the next, to the next, to the next. I'm not sure why it doesn't, but I'm just rolling with it. But if we want, we'll go ahead and start with the root. So I found it right there. That's the root chord, and you can see here it's also A flat. I believe that's showing me. So I'll go ahead and do that one, and I don't, because I want. Yeah, and I actually want to click that on, so you can hear now it's going to send also the trigger. So the second one, I want to do the same thing. I want to be at there, and I want to have the note. So ba-ba, right? And then we want to go a little bit higher. So let's try just one note on the Sinfonion right there. Okay, and that was just C. So I'll do the same one. I want this one to be at C. And click it on. So yeah, I like that. I could probably copy this and paste it, but I'm scared. I don't know how to do it, so I'll just do it again. So I'll find find that one, click it on. Find that one, click it on. 2 C's. There's one, click it on. C, click it on. And we're going back up to the C's now. There's one, click it on. Turn up some kick. Oh, listen to that. So what I'm commenting on is everything of my drums is coming through this channel, right? So let's go ahead. I'm going to mute this bass. I'm going to mute the vocal too. So we need to work on our drums a little bit here. So let me scroll back over to the drums. Let me try and focus on that a little bit too. Yeah, that was awful. Oop. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my mute menu. Right, and everything's showing green, so it's unmuted, and you can just scroll through this thing with your finger on, slide around and mute things. It's rad, right? So the first thing we want to do is I want to assign my outputs. That's why I've muted this. So I'm going to mute everything but my first kick, right? And you can also see you got red lines for the ones that are muted, except for this one, which is I really I can't say enough good things about the Bitbox. It's got a few cons, but the pros are just too many to list. Too many pros to list. This is a really great sampler in my opinion. So anyway, we're going to click on the cell that we want, and then if I click twice on info, it's going to show me my output. So output 1 and 2. I'm definitely running mono out of all these because I've only got 4 outputs, and I'm running a mono into the mixing board. So we definitely want this one, the first kick, we just want that going out 1. So you have the options of out 1 and 2, which is now out 1 only, out 2 only, the FX out 1 and 2, the effects 1 or the effects 2. So we're only going to be using on any of these cells either the out 1, the out 2, the effects 1 or the effects 2. So I'm just going to go out 1 on this, and then I will go to the second kick, and actually I'm going to go back to the mute menu, and I'm going to mute this kick, unmute that one. And what we want to do is we want this one to go out number 2. Okay. Now you shouldn't hear much difference because I have 1 and 2. I have A and B both coming through on this channel. And so output 1 is going to A on channel 1, and output 2 is going to output B on channel 1. And I can toggle between those. They sure sound the same. I might have grabbed the exact same kick drum. No, they are a little bit different, but they're both a 6A, which is what key they're in, kick drum. And you'd have to look on the Camelot scale to see which one that is. I haven't memorized the associations to the Camelot scale to the regular scale of chords. But anyway, moving on. We're going to go back to mute. We're going to get our hi-hat. That's our closed hi-hat. And I usually do my open and closed hi-hat. I'll do out the same one, which is effects 2. And then this open hi-hat, same thing.
Let's make sure I got it selected. Output FX2. Let me double check that one. Yeah, FX2. I think this is, I accidentally. Yeah, output 2. Output 1. This is snare. This one actually goes output effects 1. And if I so my kick drum should only be coming through A. It is. If I unmute this one, it should be coming through B, which it is, and it definitely probably needs some volume. Right. All right, so yeah, we can bring our bass line back in now.
you guys like what you saw, like and subscribe. It'll really help me out. I'm trying to get to the point where I can monetize, so that'll help me get some more modules, of course. Woohoo! Anyway, this is MoXoM. I hope this video is helpful for you guys. And again, I want to thank the manufacturers of all these modules. Man, I tell you, this is like a dream. This setup is amazing. I couldn't be happier with the decision that I've made. And I hope, again, the things that you see, if you think this is amazing, then you know, I would encourage you to dive into this stuff, especially if you got a pile of equipment that you don't quite feel works well for you. It has potential, but the cons outweigh the pros. I can tell you this, dope for a case. All the Eurorack modules being the same form factor and just all nice and tight together, and one power switch, and just nowadays, like with all these SD cards and these things, to be able to just instantly recall. I mean, you can do a full-blown amazing electronic music set from a really modest sized case. I mean, dollar-wise, it's not modest. It's quite huge. So, anyway, it's been just a joy to show you this. It's been just a joy to play with it. I can't wait to show you more videos. And yeah, keep in touch. Like and comment in the comments if you'd like. So, take it easy.